everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing my February wrap up. February was kind of a great month for me. I did seven books this month, which is crazy to think about. And I'm so far ahead on my Goodreads goal. I'm just really proud of myself, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know how to go about it without tooting my own horn, but I'm just really proud at the progress I've been doing, and I'm just so proud of myself for actually sticking to a reading plan and wanting to continuously read and things like that. I do have my little bullet journal here where I have all of my books written down. Like I said, for the month of February, I actually read a total of 7 books, and I'm going to go in the order that I read them. I guess we should go ahead and start with the stats first before getting into the books. I have 1 5-star read, 2 4-star reads, 1 3-star, 1 2-star, 1 DNF, and 1 that I have not finished. Now, I am including this because I do have a few days left. I think I have less than 50 pages. I'll post my rating once I get to that book up there, and I'll kind of give you the thoughts that I have about that book. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one I have is I Know You by Annabelle Cantorina, I think is her last name. Again, I don't own this book. It was a library book, so I will post the photo up here. This is actually the one that I DNF'd. I DNF'd out 72 pages out of 296, and this was a thriller library book. This one, I think I made it to chapter 12, and honestly, there was not a lot of characters, but literally every single character sounded the same. I couldn't tell you who was talking, whose point of view we're in, or anything. And that's why I DNF'd it, just because I wasn't enjoying the story. I wasn't following along. I tried to listen to it on audiobook, and I think that actually made it worse in my opinion. So I don't think it's a me thing. I honestly think it's a book thing. I just could not tell the difference between characters. So that is why I actually DNF'd and returned it to the library. The next one is my 5-star read. It is All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. Sorry, I have my book down here. But this one I gave 5 stars. It was such a beautiful book, and I know it has a lot of controversy, but this book really touched my heart. It was, I guess in a nutshell, it is about this little girl who ends up, I guess, over a huge span of time falling in love with a much older man, and it starts at such a young age of 5 or 8, I believe. But her background is just so broken. It's basically a love story between 2 broken people and how they've just always been there for each other, starting off in a non-romantic way, and then it eventually turns into a little bit of something once Wavy, our main character, gets into her teen years and stuff like that. So it's not a pedophile hitting on a child, I guess you can say, but it's such a beautiful story, and it really did touch me, and I would highly recommend it if you're looking for something that, normally I read a bunch of thriller books, but this one was a recommendation. It was also part of my book club, so I would highly recommend that you read this book. Go check it out. The next book I actually do have with me, it is The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This is I think this is their first book. I read An Anonymous Girl last summer, but this is their first book, and I think this is their second one. This one I did not really like. I think I'm being kind of generous with the 3-star rating, but this one, basically, you have 2 points of view. You have this jealous wife who is kind of following and paying attention to her husband's new fiance who's getting ready to get married, and then you follow the point of view of someone that's getting married. It's kind of hard to explain without giving it away, but it was very predictable. I kind of saw a lot of the stuff coming. It very much reminded me of the tone of An Anonymous Girl, which I wasn't a huge fan of. I would say if I had to pick out of the 2, I would pick An Anonymous Girl, but this one just wasn't my favorite. I do have their 3rd book from Book of the Month. I do plan on reading that one pretty shortly, but honestly, if that one doesn't do it for me, I don't think I'm going to pick up another one by this author duo. But yeah, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It is a purchase. I actually got this from Barnes & Noble. The next one is kind of a loved book I've noticed here on social media, but it is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pembroke. I did own the book, but I actually gave it to a friend who was interested in reading it. I did not want it back because I gave this one 2 stars. This one, I've kind of forgot the characters' names, but honestly, it just wasn't for me. I know a lot of people like rave about it, that it's got this unbelievable plot twist at the end. And honestly, it just doesn't sound, or like when I was reading it, it just was like, really? Like that's where we're going with this book? But this is about a woman who happens to have like this hot, steamy, like make-out session with some guy at a bar. And then she comes to find out that he's her new boss. And then she runs into this woman. They make really good friends with each other. And guess what? That's her boss's wife. And there's like this weird connection between the two. Like it's super odd. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Like they have this, like the husband and the wife have like this weird like connection to each other, but like not in like a loving way. It's kind of like in a what the hell is going on type of way. But I did not like the plot twist of this one. I kind of got bored, like something interesting would happen and then I would get bored for a good while. But the plot twist just wasn't for me. And I don't even know how, like, I don't know if this is like a spoiler, but I know her new book, Dead to Her, kind of has this like paranormal like aspect to it. And that's all I'm saying. But I watched reviews, I read reviews about that, and honestly, if this is what the author is, like her writing taste and style, I don't think I'm going to pick up another book by her. So unfortunately, I am that 1% out of 100 that just does not like this book. I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. It just wasn't for me. The next book I got was actually a Book of the Month add-on, and it is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This one I am so happy that I loved. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. It was 384 pages, and again, it was a thriller Book of the Month add-on pick. This one I did like. I read Final Girls by Riley Sager. I did enjoy that one a lot. I read The Lock Every Door by him, which was his last year's pick. Did not like it at all. So I was a little hesitant about reading this one, but I'm so glad I did. This one was so good. I kind of wish I would have read it like during the summer because it's set during a summer camp. Basically, it's about this woman 15 years ago, went to the summer camp when she was like 13, and she had these 3 like bunk mates in her cabin, and one night they just all went missing. So now she hasn't like really gotten over that like experience. And I think she holds like some secrets and stuff like that, but 15 years later, she's given the opportunity to come back to the camp since it's reopened, and she's going to be the art teacher there. So she is wanting to go back to kind of get some answers of like what exactly happened all those years ago. And I loved the plot twist. I loved everything about it. I really loved the characters, especially one of the characters that went missing. I think her name was Vivian. She was probably one of my favorite characters, and I just loved her to pieces, even though she was kind of a bitch in this book. But I loved it. Highly would recommend. I think this is my favorite out of all 3 Riley Sager books. So definitely check this one out. The next one was an Amazon pick, and it is also a thriller, and this was 358 pages. It is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. I loved this book. I did give it 4 stars just because there was like minor things that I just didn't enjoy, that I could not give it a 5-star. But I do love this book. I would highly recommend this one. This one involves a couple who, one of them's a nurse, one of them is a surgeon at a hospital. They work together, and they're married, and they've kind of struggled with like having a baby. Well, one night, a little girl, Janie, is brought to the hospital. She's being police escorted. She was found in a parking lot with like nothing but like a diaper on. She has scars and like blood on her, and like it's a pretty traumatic, and she's very like, you could tell like she was not taken care of very well. So one thing leads to another. Christopher, who is the male of this book, kind of has this big connection, and him and his wife are just fall in love with this little girl as they're taking care of her, and they file for emergency custody and they take her into their home and eventually want to adopt her. And Janie has a lot of stuff going on to where the point where they kind of question, did they make the right choice of letting this little girl into their lives and their home? I loved this book. I thought it was very interesting how Janie was. The only like big issue I had was the husband, Christopher, was a complete moron in the beginning of the book. But like as the story went on, like he kind of got better for me. I think that's honestly the only reason why I could not give this a 5-star, but this book was so good. I loved the twists and turns of this book. I loved like one thing that happens in the middle of the book that kind of like just flips everything upside down in a way. And I love this book. Even though Janie was quite problematic in this book, I absolutely loved her in a way. So, I don't know. Definitely check this one out. I have another book by Lucinda Berry I plan on reading shortly. But this book was just so good. I would highly recommend it to anybody. Next is the book that I have not finished yet, but I'm pretty much going to tell you that I am loving it. This is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hiller. She has a new book coming out in April. It's called Little Secrets. I'm super excited to get that one. But this one, I think it's her debut. I could be wrong. This was a library book. This is also a thriller, 358 pages. I, so far, am really liking this one. I will put my star rating up here. This one, like kind of follows a few people. You have this woman named Georgina, or Geo as she likes to be called, and she is wealthy. She's like vice president of this like pharmaceutical company, and one day she gets arrested by one of her high school friends who is now a cop. They haven't really spoken a lot since, you know, high school, but she's being arrested. She is sentenced to prison. I think as like an accomplice to her high school boyfriend who was the Sweet Bay Strangler, because they recently found her best friend's body in her backyard of her childhood home after her being gone for like years. Like I think it's like 10 or like 15 years. So she has to go serve time, and yeah, so now she's getting out, and the Calvin James, who is the guy who did all the murders, apparently he escaped and he's out on the loose, and I think he's trying to find Geo, and this book is just getting so good. Like I cannot breathe. So I would definitely recommend this one as of right now. I still have like 50-ish pages to go, but definitely check this one out. Alright guys, that is all of the books I read in the month of March. Let me know if you've read any of these or if you have any recommendations. Definitely check me out on Instagram. It's at readingwithjess_. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't miss out on any channels. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!